welcome back to the Candy Kingdom with Lace and Misty. The Candy Kingdom is a podcast for littles and bigs, where we provide resources and support and a safe space to learn together. So sit back, grab your sippy, stuffy and passy, and let's play! Hi, welcome back to the Candy Kingdom with Lace and Misty. Thanks for tuning in. We've got lots of fun stuff in store today. We're going to be continuing our mini-series on vetting a caregiver and the steps we encourage you to take when negotiating a new dynamic with a potential CG. But before we jump into that, Misty, what's the news this week?
Well, I'm glad you asked. There's actually quite a bit of news because we didn't record last time.
Well, we did record.
Oh, yes.
I will insert, let's just hear a little bit of what that sounded like.
So we started talking about
Mental health.
Yes, mental health. So
the checklist.
Lace has put, are you mental on this?
Okay, here's the thing. I use that terminology in a reclaiming sense. I quite happily say to people, I'm mental.
Lace! Okay, we need to stop gushing, but it's hot. So if you're a mommy that likes to be called daddy, let me know. Let Lace know. We're here. We love you. We're kind of single. Except Lace mentioned my freaking cervix before. I can't
You brought it back up.
Yeah, but I still can't believe it. I didn't think that was going to drop at this episode, for God's sake.
Well, you were talking about having sore muscles, and bitch, you're not going to the gym, so...
I really meant, just sore muscles. Yes, from adult activities, but, the listeners could have just assumed it was something else. I just work out a lot, for God's sake. Yeah, I don't. I'm a couch potato, except for when I go to the dog park. Anyway.
As you can see, we were just a bit under the weather, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. I think it was. I prefer under the influence of a full moon.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we were a bit out of it. Anyway, so in the news, I have an update on my missing dips.
Oh, good. Okay, what's happening? What's the tea?
They have been located. So, as I suspected, the postman was delivering it to the wrong address, which I told them, and they were like, no, he's leaving it at the correct address, and he left it in safe drop, which is where they kind of try to hide it a little bit. And then I got home the other day, and my neighbor came over, someone in the neighborhood said, is this you? They keep delivering this to my address. And I was like, thank you. And I'd used not my real name. So I was like, thank goodness it was me and not my roommate. She would have been like, I don't know who that is. Yeah, so they were in, she hadn't opened them.
Oh, phew. Okay.
But I'm really happy because now I have all of them, and I didn't just waste $75. So yeah.
$150, really.
Well, yeah, total.
I just think that the extortive price of dips needs to be addressed at the next election because that's a lot of money.
The next federal election. I don't know, man. This one didn't go so well, so I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, tell me about it. And it's Queensland's fault, not to get political, but Queensland. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so then also I went on a date.
Yes.
Which I'm only bringing up because it was relevant to what we talked about last episode.
Which was that you're not looking for a relationship right now.
No, not that. Well, I mean, I'm not going to skip out on a free meal.
Yeah, no, that's true. That is true.
And I had leftovers for the next day, so I was pretty happy.
And you love a bargain. You really do.
And that's why I said yes. Anyway, but the reason
I feel like that's
legit-
not a good reason to say, yeah, I'll go on a date with you.
What are you talking about? I do it all the time. So then, yeah, what happened was he did a couple of things that were just not okay with me. They are on my non-negotiables list. So he objected to animals, dogs being allowed in the house at all, and even objected to them being on the bed. And I was like, I'm not like some barbaric person. I'm sorry. If you keep your dogs outside only, I don't mean to offend you, but you are barbaric. Anyway.
Yeah, you're not a safe person. You're not... No offense, but I can't know you or anyone you know.
No, just that whole circle is gone.
Yeah, no, bye-bye.
So, and then he also dropped the R word to it, like, you know, the word that people use to refer to people who have an intellectual disability. And I was just like, nope,
What?
that's so gross.
That is so gross. I just can't believe that people in 2019 are still using this term. And you know what? There's a girl at work who I really love and adore, but she's really backwards. She's kind of stuck in early 2000s mentality where you're not allowed to be fat and you're not allowed to be gay and you're not allowed to be this. Yeah, and well, not that you're not allowed to be gay, but it's still like, you know, a thing. And I'm like, it's not a fucking thing. Anyway,
No.
so yeah, but she uses that all the time. And I'm just like, stop it. Stop right now.
Need to educate her.
And then afterwards she's like, oh, probably shouldn't say that. And it's like, you definitely shouldn't say that. Stop saying that.
So she's like self-aware, but she's just like not taking the steps to like not do it.
It's that fake accountability of like, if I say this, I'm in the clear. I hate that.
Ugh.
Anyway.
It's like, no offense, but says something super offensive.
Exactly.
Like, you're barbaric for leaving your dogs outside.
No offense, you're a terrible person, but I feel like that's justified. Whereas using the R word
acceptable
casually is not acceptable.
Oh, so gross.
Yeah.
And he was also a tiny bit racist, and obviously, yeah.
I mean,
anyway,
nice.
So I just texted him and I said, "Look, we're a bit too different." And I considered going on another date because I was like, maybe I'm being too harsh. But, like, I didn't want to waste his time. He was looking for something serious. But it ties right back into exactly what we said last time. Like, if it's on your non-negotiables, it's on your non-negotiables. And it's just, it wouldn't have been, like, what am I going to try to convince him? That's, no. Neither of us would be happy.
Or break your own boundaries, not respect your own boundaries, and do it just because you're wanting the dynamic more than you're able to respect yourself. That's a huge issue.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. And then we've also got the giveaway, which ended. So we will be drawing the winner in episode 5. And we'll let you guys know, who won. Good luck to everyone. And thank you for entering. And
yes. We received some beautiful and really kind feedback from people across the platforms. We had lots of you reaching out to us and saying hi, so we know a few friendly faces. Oh, and we have our first patron. I'm not going to name them, but hi, we love you. Thank you for supporting us.
Yes. You are currently helping us to get a better platform, so we're really grateful for that.
So thank you.
Thank you. Yes. So shall we move on to the episode?
Yes,
I'm sure our listeners are eagerly waiting.
Yes, absolutely.
So, vetting. So last time we discussed a little bit of what vetting means. And, you know, it's basically interviewing someone because they are a potential partner. Just think of it like you're interviewing someone for a job because it kind of is a job. So interviewing them to make sure that they're safe and that your future dynamic will be healthy. And that is the number one goal for vetting. You know, your emotional, financial, physical, mental, social, etc. safety. So we'll be going over what to ask and do before committing. because there are just too many stories of abuse because
Yeah.
people were actually predators and
Yep.
people didn't do their due diligence when vetting. So,
And I hope that by doing this and highlighting some things that might seem really obvious to some, will actually help to create a safety net for littles in particular, but anybody from within this dynamic, and even it segues into BDSM in general. And that's where we pulled a lot of these ideas from, because CGL is a part of BDSM and it has the same risks and pitfalls, potential for harm that, is in traditional BDSM. So I hope that this helps, and let us know if you have any questions. We will also provide resources for Australia and the US and the UK for where to go if you think that you are in a kind of domestic distress situation, if you think you're in a relationship where you're unsafe. And you can, as a person in kink, reach out to vanilla support platforms like the domestic abuse hotlines and things like that, because you can never consent to abuse, regardless of what it looks like in kink. So I just thought that was important to say. And if you are struggling and you need someone to reach out to, we're thecandykinkdom@gmail.com. And we're not licensed trained therapists or domestic abuse support staff, but we can put you in the right direction of people who can help you.
That's really important. Thanks, Lace.
You're welcome.
We also want to talk about how to ask the questions and what kind of answers you want to hear. And you might notice that this is a lot of stuff, and that's because you need to take your time and cover all of this, and don't just jump on the next dick you see just because you're lonely.
Yep, stop it.
Stop
Don't do that.
Because that's how you get murdered, okay?
Yes.
And being murdered, from my experience, is not pleasant.
No. No, but not to make a joke, like it's serious. Like if you don't do this properly, because the amount of people who get into kink for the wrong reasons is quite high. It's a lot more than you might think. So let's not just get your heart broken, but also physically damaged, physically in an unsafe space. So
Exactly. All right. So, let's get into it. I guess how to ask the questions. Look, it's not gonna be as organic as you want it to be, because it's not something that typical relationships have.
Well, it should. Anyway.
I know, but for us, it's all about that communication, and it's hard as someone who is an S-type or is a little, but you're not in a dynamic yet, okay? So you need to just be your vanilla self while asking these questions and be direct and communicate clearly. I also recommend, because it's me and I have a horrible memory, I recommend doing it all over, somewhere where you can refer back to the messages. Messaging on Kik, or just have to be careful with that, because
they disappear.
If Kik crashes, you lose everything.
Oh, but Kik kills all your messages after 3 days anyway. So
what?
It sucks. But what we are going to provide is a resource, which is a checklist resource and a worksheet resource, which we're actually working on right now. And you can use this. And look, don't feel ashamed to bring that to your caregiver and say, hey, or your potential, should I say, and say, hey, these are some things that I want to discuss. Can we get together, grab a cup of coffee, and talk about them? Because you're, even in dynamic, you're an equal in that relationship. You may not have the same amount of power, but you're equal. And you should be allowed to say, hey, I need to discuss these things with you because it's important to me. And first red flag, if they say nope, well then bye.
Yes, exactly. Just walk away. It's not worth it. There is a reason why they're saying no. Because they don't want you to find out some stuff. So for the basics, know the person. Know their name and their basic information. I understand the need for some anonymity. Did I say that word?
No, anonymity.
I can't say it. Whatever Lace just said.
Anonymity. You're allowed to have anonymity, but...
Anonymity.
This is the person that you're going to be giving your everything to, and they're expected to do the same. That includes your name.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, do a basic background check. I learned this lesson. Don't just Google their name. Google their name and their location, because when I Googled the criminal that I ended up dating, nothing came up. And then I did it again because there were some things pinging my my gut that were like, ooh, something's not quite right here. So I Googled him again with his location, and there we go. This person went to jail for X amount of years, and I was like, okay, right.
Yeah. Trust your
and
intuition.
you know,
yeah.
if you can do a legitimate background check as well, that would be great. But I know that they can cost money, and like I think in Australia, I don't think you can even do one on a person unless you're trying to employ them or something. So, yeah.
Another way to go about this background check is ask for their references straight off the bat and then actually communicate with them. Because if a person has references, and this is one of the great things about FetLife, these people exist. And a lot of the time, at least here, the culture is if you want to be having a reference, if you want to be getting involved, you have to physically be in the community and show up to the events. And that's a huge safety thing, is that, you know, you physically exist, you're there, and people can actually judge your character, and people will only, you know, be references for you if they've seen you play and they know you're safe firsthand. So that's one form of a background check if you're not going to go down the Misty approach and ask for a police certificate.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
A recent STI test.
What? Oh.
Ask for
I
one.
honestly thought you were just like about to drop some news.
Oh, by the way, no. No. What I mean is...
And I was like, mate, like, that's a bit intense.
Sorry, what I meant was ask when was their most recent STI test. And there are a lot of sexual health clinics that will do this for you for free, I think. As part of... I'm pretty sure it's subsidized by the government. Utilize those services. Look them up. Oh, this is in Australia, by the way. I don't know about overseas, but...
Well, I think you can use Planned Parenthood, but again, I haven't been there in so long. I don't know what's going on, if you guys even have hospitals over there anymore, or if they're all just like McDonald's at this point.
But also, this is not just America. We're talking about the UK and other places around the world, like in Europe. So know where your resources are, look them up, and utilize them, because, you know, this is really important.
That being said as well, make sure that this person is a real life, you know, person. If it is an online dynamic, which are, for fair enough reasons, are increasingly the avenue for these types of relationships, you know? Do, like, on Kik, you can do live pictures and make them do silly poses.
To know that it's truly them and not just a photo that they've had laying around.
Yeah, or just a photo of someone else. Catfish. Be suspicious if they are so overly reluctant to send pictures or seem overly secretive. Things like they won't video chat, or, if they keep postponing and canceling meetups.
Oh, huge red flag. Yep.
Yeah, that's an issue. Just stuff like planning things and canceling them in general is not very nice.
It can be an anxiety thing, but if it's a recurring issue and they keep making excuses that don't line up, that's a problem.
Yeah, exactly. And please don't, if it is a relationship that you want to eventually be in person, please don't just pick up your whole life and move to someone without doing because if you get there and they are a complete sketch bag, then
or not what you were expecting.
Then you're in a new place by yourself without a plan. Oh my goodness. That's terrifying to me. So
I have experience with this firsthand, and we're going to talk about online relationships in a future episode, how they work, how we can make them work, what some good things are, blah blah blah. But yes, I've been in a non-kink but long distance relationship where they actually came to Australia to be with me. And yeah, visa and immigration issues aside, it's hard work, and
Yes.
you want to make sure that that person that you're going to
Is
either be with or
absolutely
is who you think they are. And being in person is very different to being online. I will say that. So yeah,
yes.
that's we won't go more into that right now because that's not in the scope for this episode. But yes, please
No.
be careful.
I mean, at least just meet them without plans to move there permanently first. That's a good first step.
Yeah.
It's like I wouldn't just, move into someone's house after
no,
talking
that's
to
right.
them for a while.
And if money's a factor, think about, can I afford this relationship?
Exactly.
Which is huge.
So I guess let's get into some of the stuff that, you would actually be asking them. So this goes both ways, even though it's mostly about littles that are vetting potential caregivers. I think it's also important to, think about if you're a caregiver, how would these questions apply to your situation? Because you also want to make sure that littles are safe, because anyone could be an abuser regardless of what role they identify with.
Yes, absolutely. So
so
we've
one of the
broken this
things
up into categories
Yes.
too. So we're going to address them in the categories just to keep everything tidy. And the first thing we're going to talk about is mental health, and how does your mental health impact kink. So
Yeah.
are you a person who suffers from a mental health condition? What
So
does it
that
look-
is what you are asking them.
Yes,
But
yeah.
you also obviously answer as well.
Which you would have gone through in the first session where we talked about pre-work for yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, are you a person that suffers mental health conditions? What does it look like to support you when you're having a mental health crisis outside of kink if needed as well? And are you capable of maintaining your role while going through that crisis? And what's your backup plan?
So
this
like
is
it's
talking about
okay.
protocol. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay if they can't maintain their role while going through a crisis. That's fair enough. But, can you handle,
Yeah.
your caregiver not being your caregiver because they're having a mental health issue? And you need to be honest with yourself in that. It's not shallow. It's just being realistic.
It is realistic. I mean, very recently in one of the kink groups that we're in, we have a member whose caregiver transitioned very recently,
Yes.
and that was a huge learning curve for them.
Yeah.
So, don't think that these things won't happen. People that are in kink are very in tune with themselves and their wants and their needs, and I think are very prone to, I don't want to say destabilizing, but I find that it can sometimes be easier to rock the boat in a kink relationship than in a vanilla. In my experience, that might not be true for others, but you need to know what are you going to do if that happens. Because you'll be destabilized in your role.
Exactly.
And that's a problem for littles.
We like the structure and expectations and everything's the same. So what is your backup plan if that happens? So, is your caregiver going to maybe organize for someone else, like a babysitter, to look after you in the meantime? Like, what are they going to do to keep that stability while they're, getting their stuff back together?
How does the protocol change as well? What are your expectations? What are you going to be expected to do?
Exactly. Good point.
More questions to ask are, what are your needs? So your mental health needs. What are your medications? And this is a big one, I think, because some medications can make people drowsy, or they can make people really energetic, or it can affect lots of things, particularly antipsychotic medications. So, that's a huge one to talk about, especially if you're going to be doing some kind of play where there is potential for risk, like for edge play in particular.
Yep. The next thing we have here is your triggers. So I know that lots of people are like, you're triggered, which is really, really annoying because triggers are
Real.
they're real.
They're real.
And they're important. So, and some people have triggers that you wouldn't even imagine. So I saw on a Tumblr post where someone is triggered by Christmas music, which is like, you're thinking, what? Christmas music? Like, that's cheerful and whatever. But someone might be triggered by things because that's just how the brain works. It just associates things with trauma, because we have these silly connections in our brain that fire together, and they lead to associations. So
And
like
this
I
isn't
kind
just
of have a little
necessarily-
weird. Sorry.
I was just going to say, this isn't just for people with anxiety and depression. You know, the people that participate in kink might have PTSD. They might have OCD, like you do. They might have different things that can and are triggered by certain things. You don't know where someone's trauma has happened, and you don't know what is going to cause that to resurface. So that's why you need to ask.
And I discovered a trigger just during play, with something I was doing impact, and with something the top had said triggered me, and it was literally like I kept saying Jesus at the moment of impact, and they kept saying he can't help you here, and that's one of my OCD triggers. And he was just doing it in a sadistic, like, kind of fun way, but it's a trigger for me because of my OCD. I have like religious OCD as well. It's a subtype of OCD. So that was like, oh, new trigger. Okay, now I know that. And now I will communicate that. It wasn't as bad that I couldn't, like, I kind of still laughed at it, because my headspace wasn't in a bad place. But if it was, that would have had me safe wording and stopping all of that play. But anyway.
Yeah. And that's something that you know, and you learned about it on the fly. So communication needs to be open and regular. And above all, if something's changed for you in the play, you have a responsibility to tell your top, and they have a responsibility to respond appropriately.
I like this point here. I'm wondering if you could elaborate. Do you have requirements for social situations?
Yep. So some people might suffer agoraphobia. Some people might suffer triggers.
What is agoraphobia?
Agoraphobia is an anxiety or a fear of being outside or being out in social situations out of your house. Hey guys, this is Editing Lace here. I just wanted to make a correction because that's actually not the definition of agoraphobia. That's actually closer to like a social anxiety disorder. And that social anxiety can be a product of agoraphobia, but they're not actually the same. So agoraphobia is actually a fear of places and situations that might cause panic or helplessness or embarrassment. And it is classified as an anxiety disorder that often develops after one or more panic attacks. So if you're worried about going into a space that you have had a panic attack in the past or some kind of trauma, then that might cause agoraphobia where you don't want to go back into that situation. And for a lot of people, that manifests as not wanting to go outside because a lot of their panic happens outside of the house. So that's really common, and that's where I got that misconception from. But it's not actually true. I just wanted to clear that up so that there's no misunderstanding. All right, back to regular Lace and Misty.
Okay.
And for people that have social anxiety in particular, which I have a lot of experience with, it might mean that your focus is on inward. So for CGs in particular, I think if you're in a social situation with your little and you're prone to going introverted and to shutting down and to being nonverbal and having a reaction of some description, it's important that your little knows so that they can support you through that and to know that they're not going to get necessarily the full you while you're out and about. Same goes for littles as well, and for bigs to be able to support them through that. And also, if you're in a play party situation, for example, you might be uncomfortable with seeing other people in impact play, for example. So you need to communicate that with your person and talk about what you're going to do in that situation. But also, if you're in a dynamic where it is not an visible dynamic to the outside world, it's a private dynamic. What is that going to look like in terms of, are you going to be physical in public? Probably not, and you need to specify that in advance. So just things like that.
Yep. And then if they expect this to impact on their kink play, or if it is, how do they expect it to? And is it something that you're okay with?
Because all of these
Yeah.
things might make absolutely no difference whatsoever. Like for me, I have anxiety, depression, and a few other extra fun things. So I take medications, but the medications don't impact the play. So I say, yep, I'm on this medication, but it's not going to
Yeah.
impact my play. It doesn't impact my functionality, doesn't impact my reaction time, and it's not likely to make me pass out or anything like that. Whereas with my mental health, I do have anxiety that causes me to have panic attacks. So
Yeah.
my rigor needs to be, like, for example, because all of my play is in rope space. So my rigger who ties me knows to have shears on hand or a knife or something to cut me out of any tight and complicated binds, because my panic attack might not give him the time to untie me 100%. Like, it's a lot of rope and a lot of knots, and he's very good,
Yeah.
but my panic attack might take over. So we need to know that there's a safety plan for that. So,
Yeah.
some things
Well,
impact it, but some things don't.
I am currently working with someone who is learning a lot about rope. So I am their bunny when their regular partner is unable to be. And so I just sat in on their first session with the person who he's taking classes with. And the person said something that I really liked. It was like, rope is expensive, but like a human life is worth more. So he was like, don't worry about, oh no, I'm going to cut my rope and I'm going to lose it and have to buy it new. He was just like, just cut them out.
Yeah, cut the
End
damn
of
rope.
story.
Yeah.
So moving on from the mental health side, I guess physical health is important to talk about as well. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. I just remembered something that instructor 144 on Tumblr posted about once. Basically, he'd had a heart attack previously, and he was with another partner, and they were doing adult activities, which, ended, but he was making a lot of noise, and the poor submissive, like, spider crawled away from him, and screamed, "Oh no, I've given you another heart attack," because of the sounds that he was making. And so that made me laugh for a little bit. But yes,
cute.
Do you have any physical limitations, and what are they, and how do we work with them? And how do they impact your play?
Yep.
Are you disabled? Do you require mobility aids? Just knowing how to, or if it's something that you can adjust for as their little person, or as the caregiver to someone who has these physical limitations. And do you know what else I think? How can they be incorporated into play? Like, how can we get a little bit creative and, do this thing and make it part of our play?
This is, and there's a good example I have for this. It's outside of the kink world, but I think it's fantastic. So a woman I know, her husband is a double amputee in his arms. So he has, both of his arms have been amputated just at the elbow, I think, in one side, and the other one's a little bit higher. And look, he lives a very full life. He's a teacher. He actually taught at the school that I went to, and he was a science teacher, and he would be writing on the board and everything like that. Like, it didn't stop him. But he had a lot of fun with this. So they used to do, or in the state that I'm in, we have something called Zombie Walk, which is, I think, raises support for depression and mental health specifically. So everyone dresses up like zombies and walks around the city. It's great. So they did this one year, and they did a lot of prosthetics and like blood drippy stuff, and made his arms look like they'd been bitten off, if you know what I mean. And I just thought that was so empowering. I was like, good on you for taking something that could, really impact your well-being mentally, and you didn't make a joke out of it. Why not? So
Exactly.
I think in that way, it would be good to try and bring in your disability into the kink, if you can, if you're comfortable with it, if you want to, but just to normalize
and
it.
if you are a little caregiver with a disability, a physical disability, we would love to have you on the show to talk to us about some of your experiences. There are some amazing people that I follow on Tumblr that do have, chronic illnesses, but I don't really follow anyone who has a physical disability in kink. Actually, I know that there is a podcast by someone who does have physical disabilities. So I might be reaching out to them once I remember what it's called, and we might get them on the show because I think that would be really cool.
Not to make a spectacle of the situation, but just to increase awareness that, hey, it's not all daddies and little girls that are all white and abled and thin. Like, it's everybody is involved in kink, and we want to give
that's a mini
voice.
series that we're planning.
Yeah, another
just, one. Yes, different people in kink, because that's what makes kink beautiful. We're not all cookie cutter. That's why we're kind of...
Say your favorite phrase.
What's my favorite phrase?
It's a buffet.
That's not even mine. I can't even claim that. That's Loving BDSM. They coined that, and I love it. And I do say it a lot. Whatever.
Every episode, maybe.
Anyway,
okay,
so moving on.
So, what are your limitations, particularly with your physical health? How do you expect this to impact your kink play or your ability to caregiver or belittle? And I guess just making your partner aware of it. This isn't something really that you can hide necessarily, so it is important to try and be transparent where you can. And how can your partner best support you in your wanting to be kinky with this slight potential limitation?
And something else that I wanted to say, which I have completely blanked on, so I'm just going to keep saying words until it comes back to me. Rainbow butterfly kittens. Oh, Jesus, what was I going to say? Nope, it's gone. It's gone forever.
Okay, well, if you think of it, say.
Yes, remembered. Okay, so even if you don't have any physical limitations, think about the type of play that you're doing and what would happen if your partner was to become incapacitated while doing that. So, like, if you are like tied to a bedpost and your partner, God forbid, faints or something, what's going to happen there?
Yes. And this is a really good point. So at the rope school that I go to, the woman who runs the school, she's got a really firm rule where she won't tie alone. She's got a bunny. She's very experienced. Her bunny's really experienced, but she won't tie without somebody basically as a spotter to be there, because especially if they're in suspension, what happens if she passes out and the bunny's upside down? We got two people that are at risk here. Bunny can't break out of the ties. That's the point. She is bonded. So it's really important to not let your ego make somebody else unsafe.
So, talk to your partner or your potential about, what sort of safety contingencies do they have in mind as well. And
if I don't have any, red flag.
Yeah. Even just basic stuff like, I'll have water. Okay, I can work with that. You know that safety is important. Let's build on that. If they go, what are you talking about? Then we have a problem. Everyone's learning. That's the thing. Everyone's learning, but you want to look for that, awareness of basic things.
Or willingness to be like, oh, wow, valid point. I'll write this down. I'll implement it straight away.
Yes. Yeah. So here, let's talk on another point. Past relationships, which, ours can be a sore point, but they're also a good opportunity to learn about what this person is like in a relationship and what happens when that relationship ends. Because as much as we would like to find our forever person, maybe, I don't know, some people don't dream about that at all, a lot of relationships end. So what's that going to look like? Are they going to turn into a mad person who tries to out you to everyone or slander your name?
But also it gives some context to potential baggage or triggers or just behaviors in general. I think it's really good to have context just so I can help better understand that person and know how to make them happy, or at least how to support them. And that's valid. If you're a person who can't talk about your previous relationships, especially in the kink world, because that's where you get a lot of your experience from, it does send a lot of red flags. It does, it does raise a lot of red flags about, well, why not? Why can't we? This is supposed to be open and honest communication. There's no judgment here. I just want to know what happened.
Exactly. And we know that realistically not all relationships end drama free or end on good terms, but it's important to learn why. So like that criminal that I was dating, his last relationship, he was like, oh, I guess this is where the red flags started going for me. Like talking poorly in excess about your ex, and saying stuff that just, I don't know, just like stuff like they're crazy. They, like, you should be able to talk about someone in an objective way. It doesn't have to be positive, but saying negative things about them, with almost no basis, that's kind of a red flag for me.
And flippant, throwaway, casual use of terms, particularly I find when men or mask types are describing the relationships they've had with women or femme types. She's crazy, she was controlling, she was psychotic, blah, blah, blah.
Ooh.
Using these grandiose terms that really just demonstrate that, okay, something obviously went not according to your plans, and now you're behaving like a child. Like, go away.
Yes.
Because you might talk about me like that, and I don't think that's
exactly.
fair.
Oh, that's so true. And then, why did the relationship end? Was it like compatibility issues? Did you guys just, grow apart? Like, let's hear it. I want the tea. Anyway, that's just me being nosy.
What did you learn from it about yourself, about relationships, about your kink?
Exactly.
Are you and your ex on good terms? That's particularly an issue if a person in kink has kids and their ex is a co-parent.
Yeah, I know. That's such a big thing. Or even if their ex wasn't in kink and their ex was vanilla. How do you navigate that now? If you are on good terms and that kind of stuff. So,
And do your kids know about your kink? And, if you're ever going to be in a relationship which is together, when you're around each other, how does the protocol change? What happens with that? Does it all go out the window, or does it stay as a kind
subtle,
of invisible protocol?
Yeah.
It's an interesting one, and I think this is really valid for poly couples, especially. Another person within the kink scene here, she's married and they're in an open relationship, and she's really open with her kids about her having partners, and the kids just get it. They're like, oh, okay, so this person's your boyfriend, but daddy is also, your husband.
Your husband, yeah. And there's a way to explain these things to kids without actively being like, yes, we are kinky and we are into BDSM and this is a sex thing. Like, they don't need to know all of that.
Polyamory isn't just specific to kink as well. So,
true.
People really don't give kids enough credit for what they can and can't cope with. They have got an incredible amount of emotional resilience. So, just explain it to them. This is what it is. And,
at an appropriate level. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think we might have to wrap up this episode. It's getting a bit long, and we're going to go into a part 2 right after this, because we feel bad for ditching you guys.
We had a
but
nap.
Anyway,
we were tired.
Shall we? Yes, we did. Shall we talk about your dodgy doms?
Which one? I have so many.
Oh my gosh, can we do we'll do this one, and then we'll do another one
next week.
Episode 5.
Well, what we'll do is we'll talk about the dodgy dom this week, and then we'll also talk about next episode. We'll talk about the silly sub, or what were you calling them?
Sketchy sub.
Sketchy sub. That's right. I knew there was a better term. Because there was a
It's not just the doms that can be gross. There are lots of people who lack reading comprehension skills, apparently, or just don't care.
Or don't care. Okay, I'm just looking this up on my FetLife now. Bear with me 2 seconds.
No worries.
I'm just looking for the gross dick pic, which is what they have as that, which is like,
Yeah, I know. I got a picture, like a request from someone whose profile pic is just an undershot of their dick and balls, and I'm like, far out.
Nice.
Like, why do you think that's okay?
It's not. It's really boring, actually, to be honest
It
with you.
is. It's like, yeah, I can just go on Google and type that in and see another one.
Oh,
Great.
no, actually, hang on. They changed it. So they're active on their account, harassing and people. What is it? It says, oh, that's really funny, actually.
What?
So you know how... So you know how when you do that thing with kids where you put your thumb between your index and your middle finger and you say, got your nose?
Yeah.
So it's a picture of that, and the text underneath is, got your penis.
That is really funny.
Oh, okay. This dodgy dom has been redeemed just slightly. All right.
Oh,
Anyway,
I don't know about that. Listen to this message.
I'm gonna read it as it's written with all the
Yes.
shocking lack of grammar and whatever.
It's gonna, while you're listening, it's gonna feel like you're having a stroke, but you're okay, I promise.
You the fuck or you? That's the first sentence. I know, Hoda, but you know what? Shh. No one else needs to know. Now that daddy found you here, BB. When you come knock, you're gonna come so hard. Do you want daddy to help you come, baby girl? Statement, not a question. Here's where it gets fun. Pick me up on the cart and I will put my fingers in and make you come for showing me around. Me around is one word. I knew you weren't no skittle kid, baby.
Right.
End
So
transmission.
we have dubbed.
I responded with, what the absolute living are you talking about? And in tone with the conversation, there was a statement, not a question. And that's it. That's the end.
So that was RoboDom.
Yeah, RoboDom.
Who was apparently just switched on.
Yep.
And typed that message and was exploring the human English language for the first time.
It was really good. I applaud them. Well done for trying. Here's a ball. Perhaps you'd like to bounce it. Yeah, that was shocking. And I laughed, but I didn't understand most of it. And I thought maybe it's like a bunch of really badly taped together quotes from movies and things like that. But I just, pick me up on the cart and I will put my fingers in. What, the cart? Me? A neighbor? What's going on?
Where are your fingers going?
The only sentence that made sense was, do you want daddy to help you come, baby girl? And it's like, no, I'm fine.
No, I'm okay.
Thanks
I actually
for your
don't need
offer, though.
assistance. I can do that all by myself.
Yeah, you got to have other skills. How are you at accountability and following through on expectations? Any good?
Not very good.
Oh, okay, bye.
They haven't downloaded that into his robotics scheme yet.
Oh, I see. Gooddaddy.exe. Got it. All right.
That's funny. All right. So, yes, as we said, the next episode, if you were listening to us as we drop them, is going to be right after this, where we will be announcing the winner of our giveaway. So stay tuned. Yay. So thanks for listening, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We tried to keep it a little bit more on track for you. It also helps that we're doing it in the morning and not on a weekday after work. So
I think that's about where the lunacy sets in. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think it was a Wednesday as well, which is just absurd.
Nah, it was a Monday night. It was a Monday night after work, and
goodness.
I was just. We'll be putting up a bloop reel on the Patreon. So if you want to hear us being psychotic and just losing our minds, feel free. It's only $1 a month as a minimum, so get on it.
Yes. So as usual, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us at The Candy Kingdom on all the socials. Mm-hmm. The other thing that we wanted to point out is, obviously we are not experts in this area. Mm-hmm. If you have any suggestions about what you do, we would love to hear them, and that would be really awesome, because we're all about educating people, and we want to know what
including
other people
ourselves
are doing.
Including ourselves. Mm-hmm. So have a sweet week, Candy Kingdom, and we will see you in like 5 minutes.
Bye.
Bye.